Welcome guys, welcome, our series is here. We just finished our build for a Sorcerer, Meteorite, Fire Damage. What we're gonna talking about here, how to build the build, what kind of corruption can handle, how the build behave in a higher corruption, lower corruption, what my impression about the build, the tips for early game, mid game, late game, including skills rotation, items and stuff. So let's start it. That's a short intro. We also have a demonstration in Corruption 300 empowered timeline. So basically, this build in endgame is rotation between teleport and meteorites. The meteorites, we have 6 fallen rocks with 1 cast of meteorite. Meteorite providing you with casting meteorite, which is cost you 144 mana per cast, provide you with energy shield, so it's not only your damage, it's also your survivability at this point. The build is fun to play for sure, but the build also like have a good damage to go through the 300 corruption, killing basically elite and normal monsters with 1 hit of a meteorite, well, multiple. 1 custom meteorite, rather to say. So we have covered everything with damage, and our survivability most of the time is good enough for 300 corruption. But in case of fighting bosses on 300, even on 200 corruption, there is sometimes that you can crit it, got critted by a lot and basically die in 1 shot. We just tried Aberos, we finished all the Harbingers. So the 2 last Harbingers, the Harbingers on Corruption 275 and Harbingers on Corruption 300, took me a couple of tries to get through them. They kill me multiple times with 1 shot. Aberos, we got Aberos to the 50% of his health.
Best viewers on asterisk.
Okay, let me get this one out. We killed that Aberos, got not to kill the Aberos, got him to 50% of his health, and he killed me with 1 shot. Before that, we also were dying on multiple times with 1 shot, and since it's so mentally hard to go through this fight again and again, we stopped fighting him for this time. I believe this build is capable of killing Aberos. It's just a matter of player skill, honestly. It's a lot of matter of player skills. But then again, it's probably the same you can true for any other build. If you dodge everything, you don't care about the amount of shield generated or amount of damage you're dealing. It's amount just of time spent and your mental concentration. For this build, however, like I say, the survivability is a problem. We can generate with my meteorite constantly up until like keep it in a 5k shield, right, and 1k health. That's what we can generate, like going on with my meteorites. However, there's just not enough on a high on this Aberos fight when he crit you for 8k, right? He crit you literally for 8k or 8 and 5k. The slam attack. If you don't not dodge the slam attack, it's just instant death, no matter how much shield you have on it. So mind you about all of this when you're trying to jump into the build, right? So when you get into this point it's a lot of about player skills and rather than build carrying you. Damage wise, we have a good damage. We're gonna be demonstrating the damage and 300 corruption over here just right now. So we can feel how the build actually behave. Then we're gonna be talking about early game, about how what we do in a late game and mid game as well. So the thing is about meteorite, right? I say this is, we did have like fireball here, all right, but we're not really using fireball anymore. So 300 corruption, jump into random echo over here. So clean and echo, absolutely and no problem, unless you get in something like Mark for Death, right? So for Mark for Death, you do want to you do want to have this 400 or 400, 100 resistances for everything. Alright. Because Mark of Dance reducing your resistances by 25. And that's the thing. So we have a guarantee guarantee crit on the meteorite every time we cast a meteorite above 400 mana. Okay, another skill about rotation, right? Another stuff about skill rotation I didn't mention. We have the focus. If I for whatever reason drop below 400 mana, I can use the focus to restore my mana faster. Okay, let's see about how fast we can kill Nemesis over here, right? Basically erasing him. And also about skill rotation, we have Flame Ward that giving me a lot of every time we using the Flame Ward, right, is buffing the meteorite damage. So we can get to with all the buffs we can get to 200k DPS as meteorite, which is a decent one. But yeah, the thing is the crit is just enough to kill everything. Apart like when you're not paying attention and you're just dying like this. Apart from that, like you see, survivability is still an issue for the build. Even when facing normal monsters sometimes. It's actually my third time actually dying to normal monsters, obviously. Yeah, I have like very much of mental exhaustion from fighting Aberos. So you need to move every time. Every single second you need to move. You can't waste your points on like standing, and you need to place those meteorites in a proper well, places to kill as many monsters with one hit as possible, so they not a problem for you, because they're raising your shield very fast. You saw I was going through my mana also kind of an alarming rate, because again of my mental exhaustion. Usually when you're playing for this build you want to keep this mana above 400, so you cast in your meteorites like 2 meteorites per 2 seconds, right? 1 meteorite per second is enough like to keep your mana regenerating and keeping it above 400, right? Again, like if you get stunned you can proc automatically Flame Ward. And if you run out of mana, there's a focus to replenish it faster. But focuses on the higher corruption level has its problem when you need to actually stay for 1 second on one place, and sometimes could be lethal. I improve my focus as much as possible, giving it as much defensive capability as possible. Alright, but that's not helping. Okay, so Let's talk about stats of this build, or maybe we're talking about early game. Okay, talk about early game. How we level up with the early game, what we do for early game, and how to level up this build in general. Then we talk about middle game and late game that we jump into stats and more in detail. So this will be like every separate chapter on YouTube video. So we can jump to the chapter you're interested in right away. So early game. We started here with obviously a mage. We have Fireball. This build was about fire damage overall, so that was thematic for me. Fireball is my first spell I was using up until we reached Meteorite, and then when we reached a Meteorite, it was not that much of a use, because it cost a lot of mana and we didn't have much mana to use Meteorite. Maybe 1 Meteorite every like 5 seconds here and there. Fireball was doing much more damage, and Clean Speed had much more. So this is my skill tree for Fireball. You could see it on a link in a Grim Dawn, or say Last Epoch tools down there in a video description. So the one thing about the Fireball that you should probably remove here, most likely should remove, is Flame Burst. It's not dealing any much of a damage here, but you need to hit enemies, same enemy with 5 hits. So it's okay for bosses, but then again, for bosses you can use meteorites periodically. ready like after level 30 or something. One thing I recommend for Fireball is a homing feature, the Seeker's Ash, right? Fireball now 6 nearby targets. So homing feature is pretty good. So we're not gonna be going in detail for Fireball because it's like obviously a not important skill. Up until like level 20, after level 20. What more important is Meteorite. The Meteorite on mid-game and early game is quite a different from Meteorite in late game, right? We're gonna talk about Meteorite late game, but early game, what you want, because of a mana consumption and how much of like, how little Meteorites you can cast over the time, right? What you want early game, first of all, is aftermatch. Like aftermatch, you're getting mana recovered after every 3 seconds, 48. So basically, every 3 seconds, one meteorite costs half a mana lower. You still benefit everything from spending that mana, right? So it still be like you spend like for example 145 mana, but half of that mana got refound. And when you spend 144 mana, is like improving my shield because we have mana spent as a shield in a lot of items. Then I'll talk about shield generation a little bit later. So you want this early on and after match. Also because you're gonna be casting only one meteorite early on, up until mid game, up until actual level 75. You want to increase the area of effect for a meteorite. Maybe some items can have like area of effect. Maybe some, well, yeah, items basically. And well, the skill here can go to up 125, and you also want this one extinction, which is like 3 points is enough for extinction, getting like 30% chance for even larger area for meteorite. Believe me, it's enough, especially early game, to kill everything with one meteorite drop, and it will be killing everything is a very decent area of effect, right? Half of you like, well, it's hard to describe it. Like, yeah, killing area will be quite decent. I recommend Craterborn, just for that fire penetration, right? And that's basically what you want early on the meteorite. You also want a pot teleport as your early on and later on as your traversal skill. All right. What we care about teleport here, you know, I went to the decoy mirror images. They proven not to be as much as useful as I imagine them be. Bosses most of the time ignoring that, like 99% of the time bosses ignoring your mirror images and attacking you straight away. So as you wanted to use it for survivability, it's not gonna be doing as much of the as much as you wanted to do. The important thing here on teleport is reducing its cooldown, right? Increase cooldown recovery and the haste after you using the teleport. You have a haste. This is like one of the important node to get in teleport, and maybe some word here, which is like additional word. It's not much, but it's still adding to your survivability when you jump. Focus. You the thing you want to concentrate on. Focus is mana regeneration and a little bit mana from burst, a little bit of word here, and later on you want all the resistances and probably armor that scales with intelligence. Alright, word intention, mana regeneration per missing mana, also very important to get, especially when you have like a lot of mana to miss. So that's that, and the flame word you want early on a lot of word over here. Basically want to get it to level 5, and you want to get 2 charges for a flame ward. Important, very important. It's gonna increase the cooldown by 2 seconds. Alright, it's fine, but you get an additional charge. And you also want Astonish, cast flame word automatically when you stun. Later on you can get like some buffs for fire damage here, like swords of flame. Fire it's better to have a flat bonus that percentage here, and haste also would be okay to have. Alright, and later on you can replenish the Astonish if you have some stun immunity on your gear. So that's basically what is come for early game when it's considering the skill trees, right? The skill trees. We're gonna talk about passives as well as separate issue. But what about gear? What about gear? I have some modicum of gear I was using early game and mid game, and then the gear that is switched in late game. So what you want? What is good for this build? Everything that giving you word, all right, generative word for you, and everything that giving you mana. That's good for this build. Well, obviously, and damage as well. The meteorite itself scaling with fire, spell damage, and intelligence. Well, there's also area damage of skills, but it's not as easy to get like area damage than fire, spell, or intelligence. So everything that giving you elemental damage, fire damage, every affix that giving you spell damage is good for your meteorite to improve its damage overall. Again, items. So early on, item-wise, I was using the one-handed item. Right, the best basically offhand item for this build is to get opulent focus, which is giving you intelligence, word generation per second, and word retention. With this, we were generating around 2k word constantly on a daily basis when we were like around level 50. That's enough to protect you for a while. And the best one-handed weapon for one-handed use is a crystal wand, which is giving you some spell damage, additional mana, and spell mana cost minus. All right. For the gear here, well, there's opulent drops with mana as well. I do prefer early on to get in this. Well, you can get it really early on, but there's this Vulcar's Regalia. This is mana spent gaining as a word. Right? For the belt, you want that Philosopher Noble Sash with the mana buff, right? For gloves would be good have two arcane bracelets, and would be good to have the one with giving you ward on kill, alright, with experimental affix. And when it's come for amulet, it's the same amulet we have early on, the same amulet we have later on. It's like a bone amulet, which is giving you the necrotic and physical resistance. There's a lot of, like, you know, we are saying opulent focus was good, but before you get an opulent focus, you get the rune stones for lower levels or ritual stones. Again, this all of them giving you intelligence and the word generation per seconds. And when it's come to rings, I prefer to have mana rings again, at least early on. The sapphire rings, mana increase mana regeneration, that later on is like fire rings, ruby rings could be good because it's giving you that fire damage as well. What else? Boots. There is no really actually really good boots, so I was lucky enough to get this Advent and Eraser early on, and I just rolled with intelligence with this. It's basically it's a level 16 Vive item, alright, and you can get a good stats with this. Belt, same goes for belt. They say like we good with the Noble Sash. What else here? Helmet. So early on I was using like mage helmet for armor and mana there, and later on, in later build I switched to generating word per, instead of per second, generating a word per mana use, right? We have a lot of like items that's giving you the mana span converted to the word right away. So basically with one hit of meteorite and generate 1k word, right? One meteorite is 1k word, and we can cast multiple of them to keep this word around 5k. That's how we switch in later game, and there's good items, but you for that, if you go into two-handed stuff, there's a bunch of two-handed stuffs there, you want basically stuff with affix that giving you mana spend as a word and plus mana. So if you're not sure what you want from your on your items, the easy way to check all the items available, right, for your current level is to go to the merchant place, to the bazaar, and I really recommend you, especially if it is your first character, I recommend you to get a merchant guild above the circle of fortune. It's just so much better for generating new items, and just so much easier to get through the game's merchant guild, because you basically can buy a lot of good items on the bazaar instead of trying to get lucky and farm. So I'm just gonna share my experience here. I didn't got any single item in late game that I really want for this build from farming, right? And spend like hundreds of hours on this character. I didn't got any single item from the bloody farming, and I looted hundreds of unique items and well, thousands of exalted items maybe. So that's a thing. That's a thing. So Bazaar is just your the Merchant Guild is your default faction. I strongly recommend you. So basically, if you want to check out item you can use on your build, right? You go into Merchant Guild, right? For two-handed stuff, for example, you decided you don't want to use one-handed stuff. You want to jump like in two-handed early on. It's okay. So what you want from a stuff is spell damage, right? Spell damage, some mana, and stuff. You just jump in on all classes and in a filter, and then showing all the levels requirements and the stats that you can get on those on your stats, right? Like early on, you can level what 0. You can get traveling stuff with some spell damage and mana cost, and you go in like up down the line, right? There's some spell damage, melee attacks. So some mages builds using melee. This mage build not using melee damage, so we don't care about melee. Right. What you're looking here is spell damage for stuff and mana. So crystal staff is on level 58. It's basically alternative to crystal wand. It's looking pretty good here. Alright. There's stuff that giving you +1 to elemental skill damage. I'm using the gate stuff here. For more spell damage overall, and increasing. So gate stuff for me is increasing mana cost for my skill. More mana my skill cost in my meteorite, the more shield I generate as a result. And we also giving a lot of damage because it's probably the highest the gate stuff, the highest spell damage out of all stuff, right? We did use unique afterwards. Like we did use unique. Unique stuff like you see here. The Iron Refuge. We should combine it into legendary and getting this mana and mana spent as one of the legendaries start, but it's also the stuff itself provide me with some survivability. So basically, this is how you determine what you want, right? From your items. We didn't talk about a relic, right? Relic, in my opinion, the only good relic early on is this one, runic scroll, is giving you spell damage. I don't care about any other relics there. There are some options, but for me it was about damage. For me it was about damage. So if you go into mage here. So there's resistances, there's word gain on kill, spell damage, that's a runic scroll again, and over here, word per second. Okay, so a word per second is also okay, actually. Early on, a word per second level 41 is also okay. It's also okay. There's mana, and mana spend gains a word over here. Wording scroll is also pretty good. The wording scroll, I think, okay, we didn't use it, but yeah, it's pretty good. It's as good as my knowledge of erased mage, as good as. But yeah, early on is like I say that +3 spell damage, relic. What you like I say want on your items. What you want on your items. First of all, like if you can, if you're talking about breastplate, it's a meteorite spell, right? +2 meteorite, and that's just must be on the breastplate. On any other thing, the good stats are mana, spell damage, mana spend as a word. Alright, this for glove specifically, it's word gain on kill as experimental affix because you can encapsulate it. Alright, make it like the 5th stat for your items. Alright, and basically, yeah, you do care about resistances, so we're trying to compensate resistances with suffixes, right? But prefixes is always like spell damage, increased fire damage, and later on is well, intelligence is also important, but not as much as spell damage and stuff. Like we do have intelligence here and there. Well, I think we have only intelligence on my helmet as a go. Well, and here, never mind. So like the breastplate, for example, it can roll with fire damage, right? So we're checking affixes and can roll for your breastplate, right? So it can roll with intelligence, right? So then and it can roll with word per second, for example. All right. Mana, it's roll with mana, but it can be like fire damage increase or spell damage increase or elemental damage increase. So basically you need to check out available affixes for every item and decide what you actually want. Considering that spell damage, fire damage, elemental damage, spell damage always at the top, because it can roll depending on an item. It can roll with highest like modifier compared to elemental damage, for example. Like if we're talking about tier 5 spell damage and tier 5 elemental damage, spell damage can roll like, for example, 100% and on tier 5, and tier 5 elemental damage can roll only the maximum with like 65% or something. So obviously you want to prioritize spell damage or elemental damage in that case. Again, like those stats are important, like a name, elemental, spell damage, fire damage, vitality, word generation per mana, right? Mana, and that's about all. That's about all that we want, apart from like resistances, obviously. That's like what we're talking about. Early game items, like I say, fireball. Then we slowly move into meteorite around. The thing is, when we jump into meteorite, like in a late game to multicast meteorite, you'll be like around level 75, right? Level 75, we get in like last point into meteorite, so we have like enough points to jungle around. And let's talk about end game. How is build look like item wise in the end game? And you already like saw a bunch of these items. We're also gonna be talking about the idols, the blessings as well. Blessings kind of important to compensate for your missing of your resistances. I'm gonna be showing you my blessings you should get from in the end game, basically. So yeah, what do we have here? Arcane bracelets. We didn't got like anything good like on a prefix instead except intelligence. In the affix we have 3 multiplier gold resistance. It's acceptable. What you want from the gloves here is a word gain on kill, and like you see, we get in this as experimental affix sealed. Right, so how do you seal experimental affix? There is this rune of research. It's guaranteed seal. Yeah, when experimental affix is sealed, you have a chance to gain a glyph inside. This chance is higher. Okay, so you basically guarantee sealing this item. Apart from, like, you know, when Glyph of Despair, which is have a lower drop rate than a Glyph of the Rune of Research, right? And the lower tier of the affix, the better chance Glyph of Despair have to seal it. It's not for Rune of Research. Rune of Research is just sealing the affix, and you can play with these items further on. So that's my gloves. For my one ring, I'm using Jura's Star Dial with increased spell damage, mana. So basically, it's a replacement for that. This is a replacement for Sapphire Ring in terms of mana and mana spend, mana regeneration in terms of item stats itself. But we get in this additional mana spend as a ward, increasing spell damage, and when you use the movement skill, right? Tripling my stats on the items, meaning like mana gain, spell damage for 4 seconds. So it's like pleasant bonus, and traveler skills they then counting as the weight counted as a traveler skill. So we saw from 74 DPS here on Meteorite. Just pressing this, we went to 89 K DPS. Substantial damage boost. Not that you needed that much, but I did like it. So another ring. So you see, you can get Jura's Stradrile from Temporal Sanctum dungeon, right? On tier 1, it's a guaranteed drop. It's a guaranteed drop when you kill in the boss on tier 1, Sanctum, Temporal Sanctum. So basically you can get it early on, as early as a level like 40 or something, and you can combine it into legendary item right after, if you have a good ring with spell damage. So that's a cheap way to do it, and it's always guaranteed giving you 1 legendary potential, so we always guarantee can combine it. Next item we're using is like Ruby Ring, spell damage, elemental damage sealed. Didn't roll much into elemental damage, and increased fire damage as well. So basically it's all about damage and additional fire damage over here. For boots, I'm using Fire Dragon boots. It's a unique item with intelligence as a stat, which is make it like into legendary. I have like one. I got lucky combining it with one. With one legendary potential, I get like intelligence, the one we wanted. However, you know what? The easy way to get in all of this like legendary item I get in, right? Again, it's a merchant guild. You can't buy legendary items that easy. You need to farm a lot for merchant guild to buy legendary items. But when you hit level 6, right? You can buy or level 7, I would say, unique items. Oh, never mind. Like level 5, where you can buy like unique items. Unique items, you can buy unique items with no legendary potential. Level 3, so you can buy it as early as level 3 actually. So it's very early in your merchant career. So you go into that. Go into this guild, merchant guild, buying like some unique armor over here, like gloves for example. Go into the Nemesis is a new mechanic in this season, Harbingers of Ruins. Just putting that item into the Nemesis egg, and you either gonna get a legendary potential, or you gonna make it item legendary by adding a random affix, to it. So it's cheap. There's a lot of like unique items on the market, and it's a fast way to get this. Fast way, but you still would need a lot of farming for this. Like, for example, a knowledge of erased man. What I mean, the farming, right? I bought for 20 or 30 knowledge of erased mage until I get like something that satisfied me when I was leveling up. Either via this is the Vira Sweep, so we were leveling up. We just like by killing the stuff. But if you're going to level up the items to get it to legendary potential or to legendary with Nemesis, I recommend to buy a couple of items so you have time to play and get to choose what kind of stats is better suited for you, because it is still dependent on RNG quite a lot. So yeah, next item we have here a Mage Relic, Knowledge of Raised Man. Mage is a huge, it's giving you plus all to Mage skills, right? So like, Mage skills, you mean like everything. Firebolt, Flame Word, Meteor, Focus, Teleport, all gaining +1 skill just from this relic. I strongly recommend you to get it as fast as possible, and you can buy it pretty cheap on market. There's a lot of them. The funniest thing, I tried to farm it a lot in a timeline, in the end game, and I got 0 item. Like, so many tries to farm it by myself, I have 0. So I bought like 30 or something on the market. So that's cover the bottom line, right? The belt what we're using here is Strands of Souls. Again, bought it from a market, improve it with Nemesis. So it's a huge boost to your survivability here. Words gain on heal, right? It's in conjunction with this one, with your bracelet. So 40 words on heal. Word retention, you wanted word retention, obviously. So my word you see not dropping below the 2100. Word gain and potion use, helping somewhere, but more importantly, this mana spent on a word. Right, so that's a start that you absolutely want from your belt. And there's another belt that could be interested. What I was interested in, this one over here, Harbinger of Stars. We even combined it with good like fire damage. However, the problem is this. You're gonna run out of mana super fast. And there was less damage taken from each meteor you have cast recently, but it's only can get like up to like 3 or 4. Basically, it's not working well with the build. It's getting me like 3 or 4 less damage taken, but you're gonna run out of the mana because every time I crit in everything, something with my fire aura, they cast in meteorite by default, and it just feels bad. So it's the best belt in slot, I think, is Strand of Souls here. Item, the best breastplate. I went with damage. With Tyrant Regalia, +1 meteorite, mana spent as a word. I still get as a sealed affix here, so it's working pretty good for me. It's pretty good. But if not this, there's like I say before this item, I was using the Vulcar's Regalia, which is again more armor a little bit, mana spent gain as a word, and ward decay threshold. So it's not bad. It's not bad to have. As your next item, stuff like for a while we were using the gate staff here. The gate staff is basically the best two-handed staff you can get for late game if you're not rolling for legendary stuff. Legendary stuff, we have Aeron's Refuge. It's also I bought it also on the market, right? But you can farm it. It was unsuccessful for me. So I'm talking about this farming here, farming there. How do you determine what kind of items where to farm? There's this site, which I have a link in my description here, called Last Epoch Tools, right? If you're familiar with Grim Dawn tools, this is basically the same, but for Last Epoch. And you can plan your build around here, but also if you go to resource section, there's item section over here, right? Item section, you can just check it out, all the items, you can search for items. For example, we are looking for this two-handed stuff, unique stuff for my mage build, right? And it's Aeron's Refuge. So Aeron's Refuge stuff here. You can get it from Stolen Lands timeline, right? from unique or staff set of unique set of staff or scepter echo rewards. So basically, you jump into the echo, you see this like yellow, half yellow, half green unique reward, and this is where you can get this stuff. I looted a lot of them. Been to a lot of echoes like that, but didn't loot a single stuff, so I was forced to buy it. Alright, it's the best stuff you can get for this build. Basically, what it's doing. Why it's good? Because it's giving you this additional word per flame word, which is pretty good in end game. Alright. And 10% less damage taken when you have at least 1,000 word. Also giving you that intelligence boost 15. But again, you absolutely want for this stuff to make it legendary and roll with mana spend gains word. More mana and more mana spend the word. Because the more mana, we do want to have at least like 650 mana pool. So to keep easy my generate word easily and keep my mana easily above 400 margin, right? Because below 400 margin we're not critting. I'm gonna talk about that critting later. For helmet I still using a rune Visage of Hope. There was like some I didn't find actually any good legendary helmet for me. Unique helmet. There was a Calamity helmet, but ultimately I decided not to go for it. Alright, Calamity helmet. Can we show like one of those Calamity's helmets over here? This one, Calamity, like mana generation, increased spell damage. I decided mana gains as a word was more important for me. That this additional fire damage here, and it's also dealing like putting some ignite on you. So like that was my worries. Again, like we have intelligence, you see I have like some mana gain, +1 to teleport and 1 focus, and additional mana from both of those skills. You can try to roll for higher percentage for this, like it just depended on how you roll. And last item is Bone Amulet, we was talking about, is the best item for slot for amulets here as well. Well, maybe not. Later on, if you kill Aberos, which I didn't, you can get this Nihil, +1 to all skills, and some mana regen, some base mana at all, some plus skills. You can get either this one, or you can get after 200 corruption. You can farm for... oh my god, where's those amulets? Amulets. Okay, another side. There's another amulet from killing the Shadow of Oribis. Basically, if you go over here, that's a wrong filter. You want to search by name here, amulet. So you want Ominous. Alright, Ominous. This is also +1 to all skills and some resistances over here. Again, you can buy it on the market. Just look for the lowest price here. Like the people just giving up like a legendary item for free because, but it's a really high, really hard to climb rank 12 here. So if you're talking about actually a price here for unique, it's pretty expensive, starting from 9 millions. It is expensive. It's expensive. So basically, let's cover the items for end game, and let's talk about skills for end game. All right, I already like show you all my skill stats for in late early game. But we're talking here about Meteorite late game. More importantly, what we have, like how we switch Meteorite early game from early game to mid game to late game, right? And late game is that's how we're looking here. So first of all, important skill is aftermatch skill. The aftermatch never gonna be disappoint you. Then we have like this guarantee crit, World Ender. 400 mana, always crit above that 400 mana. Then we have a critical multiplier. So like because we always crit in, we get in this additional 90% to the crits. It's just criminal not to take it. But then, then instead of like area of effect, what we want from a meteorite now, we want this twin meteor. So early game and mid game is pretty bad. It's giving you additional 70 mana cost, right, for 2 meteorites. And it's so mana inefficient when you have like very low mana pool and mana regen. It's well, it's not really that great. It's area of effect doing much more job for you, much better job. However, after that, for the same mana, you get an additional 3 meteorites, right? So it's making you 5 meteorites in total. And after that, you get an additional 1 meteorite, is Rhino Fire. So 6 rocks with 1 cast of meteorite, and they cover, like you saw, a huge radius of, well, everything. And I want to create a born here, and I also artificially increase my mana cost for a fireball a little bit by 20%, because more mana spent, more word I generated per 1 meteorite cast. That's basically how it's look like here. I saw you my word already, so nothing changed here for me. At least you can remove this flame when you get stunned, when you get stun immunity. I think it's worth like considering. Can put it like more points into fire damage percentage. Fireball doesn't matter late game. You're just not using fireball at all. It's just like a placeholder here for something else you want to use. Focus, like if we talk about like more important about mana generation seal, and later game you want to get this armor and resistances when you concentrate it for 1 second or 1 place. It's kind of good, and this is how our teleports looks like. Again, you can check all the skills down in the description below that lead into last Epoch tools. Another thing I want to talk about is for this build items is my idols, right? I'm gonna remove my camera here for now when we want to talk about idols, because it just covered everything here. All right, so this is how my idols look like. Early on I used idols to oh my god, early on I used idols to get resistances. Later game I use idols to get spell damage, right? So we want mage idol, large mage idol here with spell damage. 3 spell damage is the maximum that you can roll with. You want this one, big idol with some fire damage increase. You can roll up to 40%, and if you have more, if you have over the 300 mana, it's basically gonna get 80% spell damage. It's huge, right? We still have some resistances. Idols here and there, because well, we do need resistances. We want to get like over 100%, or close to 100%, as close as possible. But we also want to keep them at least on 75%. So with resistances, a lot of resistances, we get a help from blessings, right? This is my blessings we have over here. So there's physical resistance blessing, armor blessing, we have mana blessing. I'm naming the important one. We have experience blessing, we have health blessing, and plus all to all resistances blessing. So I actually can roll up to 20 over there. So yeah, that's the idols and blessings you want later on. Well, and early on, depends. Okay, let's get my my everything back over here. Okay. Next, what we're talking next? Stats for this, skills. We talk about skills, but we never talk about passives, right? We never talk about passives, and we never talk about stats for this build. I should probably talk about stats as introductions for the build, right? So, like, basically, we have 107 intelligence, important stat, word retention, 511, and all the resistances here, and. Another one, critical strike avoidance, 27%. That's important stats for the build. The critical strike avoidance weren't that good. It actually was low, and I did actually get killed by last Aberos try when we got critted me. Well, nothing to talk about much about the stats over here. But the passives. We started up until level 20, we started with the mage. The passives I went with the mage, something to get intelligence, right? Intelligence, working pretty good for me. Damage for fire damage, elementalist, yes please. Preparation every second I have like this increased spell damage by 100%. Not bad to put it over here. On the mage, and it's basically all the skills I want to reach level 20. Then we jump into the sorcerer trees. What you want from sorcerer? Mana shield. Early on, later on, mid gamers say generation word per second. That's like one source of word per second generation, and you have like even more word per 10 maximum mana. Right, so that's like another thing very important to keep your mana pool as large as possible. I did try to reach like 1000 mana pool to this additional spell damage plus 5, but well, didn't found enough balance, right? So we never talk about sorcerer. They apparently explain in sorcerer better with the current patch. Now, if you look in the passive bonus, you see check the sorcerer. Sorcerer class giving you 50 mana and spell deal plus 1% 1 more damage per 2 mana cost, right? Up until 50 mana. So if your spell costs you 100 mana, or over 100 mana, you're gonna get this additional 50% more damage, and it's well pleasant bonus. It's actually more than Rune Master with 30% increased elemental damage, because in my case we're only using a Meteorite as one spell that dealing damage, and it's always above 100 mana. So Sorcerer is the main class when you spend most of the points. Like I say, a lot of them went into intelligence. I have that full playthrough video. I'm probably gonna be linking to the first day and last day of playthrough, or the whole list of playthroughs. When you can see the last day of the playthrough, you can see me fighting Aberos and all this level 300 corruption bosses, the harbingers. So check it out as well. But you also can in every single video on the playlist you can see the build progression, right? In a link to the build progression in last Epoch tools. So you go and jump into a link and you see like, okay, so from level 25 he started with these skills and he's switching to these skills over there. So it can help you with going from 0 to hero, right? If you want additional information apart from this guide we're trying to, well, to do here. So we have 1 point in arcane momentum here, just to get myself a little bit of, well, it's probably wasn't that good to begin with. So it just was a placeholder there, and I never remove the points here. So we had more wisdom, right? Increased mana regeneration per 100 mana, pretty good. You know, like you will be defending mana regeneration still. We do have like 19 mana regeneration points right now, and we're like increasing the stats by buffing myself during the combat. But it does help in. A little bit earlier on. Spell damage and word retention. We get it later on. That's some skill for later on. We're more interested early on in fire damage here and fire penetration. Right, like fire penetration 50%. Alongside of Creative Burn, this is a good combination. We have word gain per 15 word gain per 5 current mana, right? After at least like okay, after casting a skill that costs more than 40 mana, basically. Every time I cast a fireball, this lost knowledge giving me additional word. Next we have intelligence. 10 intelligence and less word decay, or better word decay threshold depending on intelligence. That's why we built this 500 word decay threshold. We have area of effect a little bit increased. It was more important for mid game that right now, and we also have the mana pool, right? Mana spend gains a word, increase mana pool, and Archmage increase spell damage for the more mana you have, right? And chance to refine mana is super important, right? So it's 40% to refine 35% mana cost on my current level. If I get to 2000 mana, I have 60% chance to refine my mana cost. It's basically alleviate all this mana problem cost. It's probably the one thing you can increase your survivability by removing some damage from your from some items like spell damage. You're going for a mana and trying to reach this 1000 mana so we can cast your fireball the meteorites more frequently, right? Generating more word per second with that, and not trying right away out of the mana and not going below 400. Yeah, this is probably what you want to increase your survivability faster. Will it be enough to consistently tank Aberos? Probably not, but like it's my guess because we never tried it yet. So that's a passive on the Sorcerer, but we also dip a little bit into Spellblade. Right, we dip a little bit of Spellblade, which is giving me a word gain it and intelligence. Okay, so the word gain it on melee attack, we don't care about this, but it's giving me intelligence and the word decay threshold per intelligence additional. Also, we get some elemental resistances here, a fire aura. Every time I'm moving, I cast in this fire aura, which is like we have more intelligence start over here from fire aura, increase aura damage. Alright, so basically, if you look closer to fireball, intelligence giving me 428 increased damage for this, for meteorite. I hope I covered everything here. I hope I covered everything top I wanted. It's a long video, I know, and it was all over the place. I'm not used to talk about last Epoch builds. We're more of Grim Dawn builders, right, so far. You can check out all the Grim Dawn builds in a special playlist on my YouTube as well. So be welcome. Grim Dawn is the game as probably like the most action RPG right now. Greatly recommended. Anyway, guys, that's like how you build Sorcerer in this season of Harbinger, right? And I have a lot of fun with it. I have a lot of fun playing this. The game is generally, my impression about the game itself is got way less grindy than it was before. It's still grindy, but way less. So even I, that I hate grinding, I could like enjoy it to some degree. And well, that's a good direction we're taking. Really do appreciate it for you sticking with me for all this like talk, right? Chat like and Twitch chat. And if you actually watch it on YouTube to the very end, super grateful for him. That's all for YouTube.